y'all see the title, Chicago gang with 100+ bodies. Oh my God, they moving like prime Mia Khalifa out this motherfucker. What the hell? They getting shit knocked back, boy.
39, also known as Murder Town. His murder was one shot fire in a war that would span nearly a decade and claim over a dozen lives across Chicago's South Side. Tonight, we examine the deadly conflict between MTG 39.
I'm gonna tell you like this: if I'm in Chicago, I'm not wearing Timbs, man. I'm running from switches in Timbs and Jordan sixes and shit. Man, that shit too heavy, bruh. Hell no. I need them shoes from back in the day that was like they look like feet with the little toes, little sock joints. I need some of them. I need Balenci track runners. That's it. I'm not wearing nothing else. Heavy ass Timberland boots and you running from gang members? Boy, you crazy as shit.
And their rivals 757 and 51 Young Money, a war where every death is counted, every loss is a
That's what I'm
victory.
saying. I don't care how cold it is. Y'all in coats and Timberlands? No, sir. I'm in tank tops and flip flops. Boy,
And the scoreboard
I'm
never
trying to be light
stops.
as possible.
This is the story of the scoreboard.
Oh
Our story
shit.
begins deep
Score.
within the low end of Chicago. This is a stretch of the city officially known as Armour Square, but to those who live here, it is home, and it is also the territory of one of the city's most enduring and powerful street factions, MTG 39.
Word.
MTG, short for Murder Town, holds its ground in the Wentworth Gardens projects. This sprawling public housing complex runs from 37th to 39th Street, bordered by Princeton and Wentworth Avenue. This is the heart of their world. According to deep-rooted gang databases, MTG 39 is a recognized gangster.
This nigga got Miguel tatted on his stomach. Ain't no fucking way. Oh my God, these niggas don't even look like gangsters, bro. They look sped. Like I cannot take them serious, bro. In the K Swiss shoes too. Come on now, bro. Y'all taking these vatos serious? I'm not. No, sir. No way, boy.
Disciples said they have been active on these streets since the 1970. By the 1990, their grip on the area was absolute. They forged a reputation that solidified their control over the low end as one of its most organized and most violent groups. The set operates under multiple banners. They are known as MTG, they are called the 30 Boys, and most simply, they are 39, a direct reference to their main block on 39th Street. Within this larger entity, several distinct cliques have emerged. There are the 30 Boys, Millie World named in honor of a fallen comrade, and Timo World, a name recognized throughout the city thanks to their most prominent member, the rapper who brought their story to the masses. A former gang intelligence officer puts their resilience into sharp perspective. MTG 39 has deep roots in Wentworth Gardens.
Listen, Timo signed with OTF. Oh, true.
They've held that territory for decades. It's not just a gang, it's generational. Fathers, sons, cousins all running together. This generational force does not stand alone. They maintain primary alliances with key groups across the South Side, including OBN, Oak Boy Nation, on 39th and Langley, GGE, Goon Gang Evans Mob, KTC, Killer Trey City, Welch World, and at various times THF 46. However, their enemies are numerous. The list of rivals spans across dozens of blocks: 757, also known as Do It Gang, 51 Young Money, OTV, Mafia Town, Geo Drive, Princeton Mob, Bricky Gang, 800, Frank Block, DT Way.
See, this too much going on for me. I see why LA damn near just Bloods, Crips, and Mexicans. Cause this shit OD. Like, it feel like I can't even go outside. Like, I got to beef with all these niggas. God damn. I see why them niggas be unemployed. You can't go nowhere. You ain't got time to think. You ain't got time for school. You dealing with all that. God damn.
Moose Block, Ghetto World, TTD, and Setville. But one conflict looms larger than any other: The
Ah,
most
shit.
dangerous rivalry, the one that would truly define the gang landscape of Chicago's Southside throughout the entire 2010, is the violent, ongoing conflict between MTG 39 versus 757 and 51 Young Money. The cost of this war is devastating. Public
Young Money, y'all just showed King Von. What the fuck? Run that back. I know I'm not tripping, boy. Y'all got King Von and T Roy. Stop it.
landscape of Chicago's Southside
Somebody
throughout the entire
fucked up.
2010 is the violent, ongoing conflict between MTG 39 versus 757 and 51 Young Money. The cost of this war is devastating. Public records and community sources confirm that MTG 39 has lost countless members to violence over the years. We remember the deceased Millie, Nitty, Chemo, Doughboy, Draco, Terry, Curry, and G-Man Ward, D-Nice, Young, Dodo, Shaky, Don G, Ickdog, Mellow, and Devo, Sleepy, T Woods,
Damn,
Hot,
that's
Ball.
the whole roster. Who's left? Damn, the ops ain't got nobody left. Shit, they killed the vets, the rookies, the goddamn, the max contract players, everybody gone. I'm not gonna lie to you, the whole team gone. I think the head coach might be in that motherfucker too. All the ops deceased.
Baldhead, Jiving Boy, Whitey, Tyson, Callio, Lil Glock Wop, and Jeezy slash Snow. The list is tragically long, and in this ongoing cycle of conflict, it tragically keeps growing. Every epic conflict has a flashpoint, a moment when simmering tensions ignite into full-scale war. For MTG 39 and their allies against the formidable opposition of 757 and 51 Young Money, that point was the year 2013. First casualty arrived quickly. The first to fall was Snoop, a member of 757's Lawless Clique. He was killed in a brazen shootout. In the immediate aftermath, the streets were quick to assign blame to MTG 39's key allies, OBN and Welsh World. Yet the truth behind these street wars is often murky. Later investigations and online gang forums offered a different narrative. The actual shooter, it was claimed, was not from OBN, but rather Tay Savage from WWDC. One online post attempted to clarify the chaos.
John
Tay
Wick.
Savage was the one who killed Snoop. OBN wasn't involved. But on the streets, clarity is a luxury. Whether the blame was accurate or not, the confusion surrounding Snoop's death had achieved its purpose. The stage for immediate, deadly retaliation had been set. Retaliation soon struck the ranks of 51 Young Money. Later in 2013, a member known as Cornbread was killed. This time, the paper trail was clearer. According to official
Cornbread.
FO documents, a fact later confirmed by multiple street
His
sources, the
ass looked
shooter
like
was
he eat
identified as
cornbread.
Kavo from the allied faction OBN or LVGVG. The murder was a confirmed hit, solidifying the new front in the war. As one forum post concisely stated, Kavo kills Cornbread correct. The violence escalated further with the death of D'Angelo Porter, known on the street as Frump. He was a 23-year-old member of Young Money. While the exact date is disputed, some sources say 2013, others point to January 27, 2015. The facts surrounding his murder are locked in official records.
2 years and y'all don't know which date he died on? The disrespect is crazy. Fuck. No, nobody got his tombstone, his what? That's crazy.
FOIA documents confirm that Scooter from the OBN Alliance was responsible for
They
the
don't got the
shooting. According to police
obituary, none.
reports, the attack was a cold, deliberate ambush. It occurred around 1:40 p.m. on the 600 block of East 53rd Street. Scooter approached
I'll be
Frump from
damned if I
behind
get
and
killed
fired a
by a
single
nigga that
shot
look
to the
like
head.
this. You
Frump
taking
was rushed
pictures
to
like
Stroger
this, fuck?
Hospital but was pronounced dead hours
Ain't no
later
way.
at 9 o'clock p.m. Another online post echoed the police findings. Scooter kills Frump. The case was open, yet the identity of the shooter remained officially unconfirmed
Oh,
by the
they a
Chicago police
snitch.
until August of 2019. By that point, however, the streets had already claimed their own. Scooter, the man named in the documents, was himself dead. The stage was now soaked in blood. The year 2013 marked the definitive beginning of a conflict that would rage for a decade, costing dozens of young lives and redefining the map of Chicago's South Side. In the brutal calculus of a street war, the lines between combatant and civilian often dissolve. Not every death is a strategic strike against an active rival. Sometimes tragedy finds you simply because you are in the wrong place, or because of a life you thought you had left behind. The date was February 1, 2014. The victim was Javon Boyd. Known on the streets as Ballhead, Boyd had once been a part of Murder Town, MTG 39, but on this night, he wasn't a gang member. He was a cab driver, simply trying to make a living, trying to support a different life. That evening, he picked up two passengers who would seal his fate, Sedai and Rondo, both active members of the rival 600 set, or 6-0. According to chilling court documents,
6-0.
Sedai and Rondo were on the hunt for rival gang members. When they couldn't locate their intended targets, their intent didn't waver. Instead, in a senseless act of violence, they turned on the man driving them. They shot and killed their cab driver, Javon Boyd, who died at the scene. His
I ain't
murder was an
buying it.
act of
He did
indiscriminate
something.
violence. A Reddit post chronicled the tragic
I
event.
ain't buying it.
Baldhead, Murder Town, better known as Javon Boyd. The cab driver who was shot by Sedai 600, accompanied by Rondo 600, in February of 2014. Justice did eventually arrive for Boyd. Sedai and Rondo were later arrested, charged with first-degree murder, and handed down lengthy prison sentences. Javon Boyd's death was not part of the bloody scoreboard between MTG and their primary rivals, 757 or 51 Young Money. Instead, it offered a devastating illustration
If
of
you
the
know you in the
inescapable
streets and you in
gravity
the
of
hood,
gang life,
why
a
why
shadow
are
that
you
can
doing
consume
DoorDash,
anyone
Uber
simply
Eats,
associated with the
fucking
faction, even
Ubering?
those who have
Why are
desperately
you
tried
even
to drive away
outside?
from it for good. If
Hell no.
2013 was the spark, 2015 was the inferno. This year became the deadliest on the calendar of the MTG conflict. 5 murders, a relentless back and forth cycle of retaliation where the scoreboard shifted with brutal speed. The bloodshed began on January 13, 2015. At approximately 9:50 p.m., 16-year-old Terrell Campbell was walking near 39th and Calumet in the Bronzeville area. Two gunmen emerged from behind, opening fire. Terrell, struck multiple times in the chest and abdomen, was rushed to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, where he died. On the streets, Terrell was known as Buddha, or Boss Rel, an aspiring rapper who embraced the violence in his music. But beneath the street persona was the son of Yolanda Martin. She had already suffered the loss of one child to a stray bullet 15 years earlier. She had desperately tried to save Terrell. The Chicago Tribune quoted her grief. "You're gonna end up just like your brother, and your brother didn't do anything." Yolanda had moved her
Damn.
family 7 miles away to Chatham, attempting to use
Damn.
distance as a shield, but Terrell kept returning to his old neighborhood. The night he died, he had snuck out after telling his mother he was going to bed. He returned
That's some of the stupidest shit I ever heard in my life. You make it out the hood and can't wait to get back. Something wrong with you little boys. I'm
to
telling you, bud.
Bronzeville, where death was waiting. Street sources later pointed to BA from 757 as the primary shooter, though the involvement of a second person, Sonny from 757, was disputed. Regardless, the shooters were never apprehended, nor arrests were made. Justice on the
Of
streets is
course not.
often swift and brutal. By June 2015, 757 had lost one of their own. Sonny, the same member whose involvement in Buddha's murder was questioned, was
How many unsolved murders Chicago got? Hold on. Give me a. I need to know this shit. I need to know this shit right here, bro. I got to know. Y'all got a number? Do they even got a number on it? I don't even see a number on it. They really don't got a number on it. That's crazy. Okay, here we go. This the state though. 24,000 in Illinois. That is crazy work. They out there tripping.
killed. Multiple sources confirmed that the shooter was Scooter from OBN, one of MTG's most lethal allies. Initial rumors attempted to involve other factions like THF, but later investigation clarified the hit. Scooter was the killer. The streets demand equilibrium. Scooter, the man responsible for two rival deaths, Cornbread and Sonny, would not last the year. September 24, 2015. 3:35 p.m. Arian Gunn, the 20-year-old known as Scooter, was standing near 30th and Michigan Avenue when a dark-colored vehicle drove up and opened fire. Scooter was struck in the back and buttocks. He was transported to Strogo Hospital, the very place where he had sent his rival Front months earlier, and was pronounced dead at 4:13 p.m.
Talking out your ass, get
Investigation
shot
seemed
in
zeroed
your
in
ass.
on the rival faction. Street sources claim that Devo from 757, potentially aided by Muno from 757, and a member of 51 Young Money, had tracked down and killed Scooter in a direct retaliation for his action. Police arrested Devo for the murder in February 2016. However, years later, in November 2021, the case collapsed. An assistant state's attorney rejected felony charges due to uncooperative witnesses and insufficient evidence to secure a conviction. The case was marked cleared open exceptionally. Scooter had claimed 2 lives, and now his own life was taken. The grim irony added one final tragic layer. Tomorrow would have been his birthday. He never saw it. The scoreboard of 2015 was tallied in the morgue, and the violence showed no signs of abating. As the core conflict between MTG 39 and 51 YM intensified, the alliances began to ripple outward, creating new, unpredictable enemies. Around 2014 and 2015, members of MTG 39 were seen frequently associating with Taekwon World, or TW, another powerful Southside faction. This connection was personal. MTG members like Timo and Boss Luck were reportedly close with the TW group, many of whom had grown
His
up
ass
and
look
attended school
crazy as
together.
hell.
This friendship, however, came at a price. Taekwon World was a bitter enemy of 757, and 757 quickly took notice of the new association. On social media, 757 members began to openly question the relationship, considering an expansion of their war. A post on Twitter asked directly, "So did TW help MT jump for them, or now?" Question was clear. Was 757 now forced to target TW because of their allegiance with MTG? This volatile atmosphere led to another senseless death. In 2015, a young man known as Chemo, full name Kemif Hubbard, was tragically
Everybody
shot and
getting
killed
it.
at 66 in Blackstone. Chemo was claimed by Dearborn/Murder Time. The reported culprit was Front Street. This immediately raised alarm. Front Street was a black disciple set, and MTG was generally allied with the BDs in that geographical area. Why would an ally kill Chemo? The theory that quickly circulated online highlighted the danger of the new TW alliance. Chemo was likely mistaken for a Taekwon World member. Because MTG was publicly associated with TW, Front Street may have assumed Chemo was an enemy and acted on the assumption. Chemo's murder was the tipping point. The retaliatory anger
That be happening a lot in Chicago. I ain't gonna lie. That's why if I live there, I'm not having no dreads. You crazy if you in Chicago and you got dreads, boy. You look like everybody else. Shit. Hell no. I need y'all to know it's not me. I might fuck around dot my hair. What are you talking about?
from MTG was immediate and public. Timo from MTG instantly began to denounce Front Street, along with their associated groups 600 and No Block, on social media. One now deleted there, BDK Front Street, yeah, we on that. The new rivalry was cemented when Wooski from 757, an enemy of MTG, later confirmed the perceived betrayal in a rap lyric, mocking MTG's lack of response, and necked, joking saying, "I was Front Street, they smoke Chemo and you still ain't blowing no heat." Regardless of who fired the shots, Chemo's death added an entirely new front to the conflict. MTG's core enemy list had just grown significantly, illustrating that in this ecosystem, friendships can be just as deadly as rivalries. The years 2016 and 2017 brought a dramatic, yet often confusing shift to the deadly scorecard. While the conflict with 757 and 51 Young Money raged on, these years introduced new complications, proving that not all violence came from the expected enemy. On September 19, 2016, a member of MTG 39 known as Doughboy was shot and killed on the 1300 block of South Langley Avenue. The details surrounding his death were particularly unsettling. According to multiple street sources, the shooter was identified as Damo from THF 44. This was deeply significant, as THF was considered a supposed ally of MTG. Doughboy's murder suggested a potential internal breakdown, a dramatic falling out, or the emergence of a deadly new conflict between.
How you got allies when it's some niggas with no hearts? Like, what you expect, bro? They ain't got nothing to lose and they soulless.
Sets that should have been united. The social media post from the time cemented this claim. Doughboy from MT39 was killed on 19 September 2016. He was killed by Daymar from THF 44. The retaliation continues. Despite the complications of Doughboy's death, the primary war with 757 did not pause. Later in 2016, the ledger tipped back in favor of Murder Town. A member of 757 known as Bud was killed. Though details regarding the incident remain scarce, online sources attributed the murder directly to MTG-39. The violence continued into 2017. Another 757 member known as Ray Ray was killed. Again, street sources credited the murder to MTG-39. While there was some dispute about Ray Ray's exact
And he got the
affiliation
whole
with the
chart pulled up.
757 set, the message was clear. Murder
You might as well
Town
go
was
work for the
actively and
feds.
successfully striking back at their primary rival.
You need
The
one of them
scorecard
boards with the
showed
red
MTG gaining
pins on it.
ground on 757, but the war had become a chaotic free-for-all. The death of Doughboy served as a grim warning. In the low end, enemies could now emerge from any direction. By 2018, the conflict between MTG-39 and their primary rivals had become the defining narrative of the low end. Every new murder was automatically assigned to the ongoing war's ledger. This year, MTG-39 suffered two more losses, Terry and Draco. Both were killed in separate, tragic incidents. In the immediate aftermath, the assumption was immediate and widespread. The enemy
They're
had
like
struck again.
teenagers,
Street sources
boy.
and online forums quickly pointed the
They
finger at
ain't even graduated.
757 or 51 Young Money. It was the expected conclusion in a landscape defined by retaliatory violence. However, the truth on the streets is often more fractured than the narrative suggests. According to later investigations and police incident reports, neither rival gang was ultimately responsible for these murders. Terry's death and Draco's death both remain unsolved cases. A necessary correction emerged online. Terry and Draco from MTG-39 were killed in 2018, but neither 757 nor 51YM were responsible. These deaths were devastating for Murder Town, further thinning their ranks, but in the context of the larger war, they served as a sobering reminder. The violence consumed in Chicago operates on multiple fronts. Not every tragedy feeds the core conflict, and sometimes the enemy remains unidentified. Terry and Draco's names, though lost to the streets, would not be added to the scoreboard of the ongoing, defining rivalry. In a war defined by relentless violence, some losses are simply more devastating than others. Among all the young men MTG-39 sacrificed to the streets, few stories are as heartbreaking as the fate of the Ward triplets. It began on May 4th, 2019. It was 2:44 in
Triplets.
the morning. Devin Ward, known as G-Devil, was just 15 years old. He was standing in the very place he should have been safest, the courtyard of a building in his own neighborhood, Wentworth Gardens, on the 3800 block.
Nope. I, hell no, you ain't the safest there, boy. You better be in your bedroom tucked under them covers. Shit. You better be at your girl crib or something. You better be OT. You not safe. You in an open area and you got a bounty on you.
Of South
Stop
Princeton
it.
Avenue. Gunfire erupted without warning. Devin was struck in the torso. He was rushed to the University of Chicago Medical Center, but the injuries were fatal. He was pronounced dead shortly after. A contemporary report noted the stark facts. A 15-year-old boy was killed early Sunday in a shooting in the Wentworth Gardens neighborhood on the south side. The boy was standing in a courtyard when he was shot in the torso. Devin Ward was born on April 1, 2004. He was one of a set of triplet brothers claimed by MTG-39. The streets knew immediately who was responsible. According to sources and online forums, the rival coalition had struck yet again. Members of 51 Young Money and 757 were blamed for the shooting. Despite the certainty on the street, no arrests were ever made. Area Central detectives investigated, but the key to a
Identical
conviction
triplets.
and Devin, when that cooperation never materialized. Devon was survived by his twin brothers, Division, and their third sibling, left to bear an unimaginable grief. The pain was reflected in their music, as one MTG member would later rap, "I lost G-Man, then we went up 4, They know it's me when I swing through the four. For the remaining brothers, the shadow of violence was inescapable. Just under 2 years after Devon's murder, the family was struck again. April 9, 2021, Devion Ward, known as G-Man, was 17 years old.
No.
He was shot and killed in the same
2 out of 3 twins got knocked off. Oh my God. That man, I know they mama sick to her stomach.
deadly perimeter, the Wentworth Gardens area. Devion was shot in the back and was taken to Stroger Hospital, but he too succumbed to his injuries. This time, the attack wounded two others, a 16-year-old and an 18 to 20-year-old, who miraculously survived. Davion Ward had been born on April 1, 2004, sharing his birthday with his fallen triplet brother Devon. They had come into the world simultaneously. Now, a brutal war had claimed them both. The online memorials are
Left
heavy
the
with the weight of
exact
this
same way. Yo, a lot of these boys out here, they on some evil mode shit.
double tragedy. Social media is filled with heartbreaking photos of the three brothers smiling together, with mournful captions like, "Probably some of the saddest pictures I've seen." The story of the Ward triplets remains the most searing, painful chapter in a conflict that continues to cost the future of a generation. The calendar flipped into a new decade, but the cycle of bloodshed remained constant. The final rounds of the conflict between MTG-39 and their rivals were fought with grim determination, pushing the mounting casualty list toward its conclusion. Strikes against Murder Town die first. The war claimed Curio, also known as Curry 30, a member of MTG 39. Street sources quickly pointed to the
Liz
familiar
really
enemy,
might hit a
Carter from
hundred.
Rock
Like
Nation.
this
757
crazy.
was credited with the killing.
They
The loss
dropping
was memorialized
twins,
online. MTG
teenagers,
39 grew until
everybody gotta
30.
go.
Then, in 2020, another MTG member, Sleepy, was killed. Again, online sources attributed the fatal strike directly to 757. The rival coalition was catching up. In the year 2021 was a violent rush of final retaliations. First, MTG struck back decisively. A member of 757 known as Big Folks was killed. This time it was a lethal joint operation. Street sources confirming the shooters were Lil Matt from OBN and Cortez from MTG 39. The unified front was successful. Next, 757 suffered another loss with the death of Gunsmoke. Street sources claimed OBN was responsible, though some suggested OTV might have played a role. Despite the dispute, the perception on the street was clear. The MTG alliance was dominant in this exchange, but the final word did not belong to Murdertown. Later in 2021, 757 struck back in a final act of retribution, claiming the life of an MTG 39 member known as Dodo. The rivalry that had defined a decade of violence now settled into a fragile, bloody equilibrium. The war had exhausted its participants, leaving behind a staggering list of the
27 and
dead, a
still in the
community scarred
streets.
by
Come
loss, and a
on.
generation marked by endless conflict. While the war between MTG-39 and their main rivals was tracked via a public scoreboard, the true toll of the conflict extended far beyond those specific numbers. Even as the core
Man, y'all heard them. They got a public scoreboard for this shit. Man, them boys in Iraq, a real nuisance. I'm telling you.